Hi, my name is Venkat. I'm Bangalore. I've done my MBA from there, and post that I've had a good opportunity to work in various fields, in advertising, in the aviation industry, in the online marketing industry. I've also been involved in a lot of entrepreneurship ventures, including the online space and in the real estate space. Of late, my core business area is business process for the real estate industry, and I work in that area. Recently, I got to know about this institution called GICE, and I heard that they've set up an MBA course, and I was very intrigued to know what kind of ethos they have behind their teaching methodology. Having come from an MBA myself, I understand the need for applying the theory that one learns in an MBA course, and I myself have many times faced that shortage where I felt that all that I've learned in an MBA, I've not really had the opportunity of applying that in what I do. So I was very keen on knowing what is the training methodology and the teaching methodology that GICE has adopted for this MBA course that they had. And I had the good fortune of knowing both the chairman and the dean of the organization. So they had invited me for taking a course, a guest lecture there at GICE, and I thought I would use that as a good example of how one can have an MBA education, and how one can make that application oriented, which would be useful for industry. That was sort of the background of how I came to know of this institution called GICE. Like I said, the core area for me was applying management theories and practices for actually doing business. For people who want to be successful in business, for people who want to be successful as managers, who want to climb up the corporate ladder and become top managers, and for people who want to be entrepreneurs and who want to primarily do business on their own. This kind of application-oriented MBA education I felt was useful for that kind of outlook to life. So, like I was saying, we took this course, and it started off as a one-off guest lecture, and there was a bunch of bright young students in front of me, and I was very keen that the interaction I have with these students is useful, not just for them, but also for me, because this is sort of a test case that I was giving myself, whether management practice can be actually translated in the teaching methodology. So what we did was a little innovation, nothing, no rocket science involved here, but just a little bit of innovation. We had this bunch of young kids in front of us, and we decided to take a sort of a live case for them. And through that live case, we wanted to see if we can actually add on all the theory that one is supposed to learn and that one is supposed to actually use in a business environment. So we took a very simple case. We said, let's set up a coffee shop, and let's set up a coffee shop that's successful. We even defined an area where the coffee shop is supposed to be, so that we have certain fixed components to this business case. The first thing we did was we took these bunch of students and we divided them into two groups, equal groups. And the topic given was set up a coffee shop and tell me how you will go about making a business plan for setting this up. These students were freshers. They were fresh into the course. They were just a month and a half into the course. So obviously I was expecting a lot of unprepared interaction with them and probably not so elaborate inputs from them. But as we did this course, I was pleasantly surprised that these kids had a positive outlook to life, and they actually wanted to do business, and they wanted to make sure that whatever they do was useful. I was heartened by this approach by the students. So we had these two groups, and they started off their preparation of doing this business plan. Just to test them and to see how alert they are, I gave them just 1 hour's time to come up with a plan. Even though the class was for 3 hours, I told them in 1 hour they have to come up with a plan. And I saw these students working very feverishly to get that done. As they were doing that, we started introducing real life situations for them. For example, first and foremost, these two groups that we had, we broke them up. We told some people from one group to go to the other one. The whole idea is, in a real business environment, one has to learn how to work in a dynamic environment, and one has to learn how to work with changing situations and changing people. In a business environment, it's very tough to get into a comfort zone and stay in that. I know a lot of companies A lot of people who work in companies tend to get into comfort zones and try to work in that, but that's not a productive way of working. So here we try to simulate that real life experience by getting the teams to change, by taking people who are prominent in one group and put them in another group. The whole idea was to teach them HR is not just theories that one learns, but HR is also what one actually practices. You have to get used to working with new people and yet be productive. So that was the first step of learning that they had, and what I'd like to call applicative learning of management theories. They went ahead and they did their business plan. As they were doing the business plan, they had a lot of queries and questions, so they kept asking the faculty around, including Dean, who was in the class, and they were learning how to come up with a business plan. So they did the business plan, and they came forward and they were asked to present the business plan. Even in that, we tried to make sure that we introduce, concepts of how to present. So soft skills, communication skills, presentation skills are very essential in a business environment. Ultimately, business is all about people interacting, exchanging ideas, exchanging thoughts, making plans, and going ahead and doing work together. So we ensured that everyone in the team had an opportunity to interact with the faculty and to present the business case. So that was one more learning that we try to make them understand during the course. Then started the actual nitty-gritty of the business plan itself. What is a business plan? What goes into it? Being young students, but being aware young students, nowadays they're exposed to a lot of business information. India is a country which is highly optimistic right now, because you see a lot of people knowing that if they work a little hard, they can generate a lot of value for themselves. And young students, you'll be amazed to know, actually have that built into them. They know that if they work a little harder, they can generate a lot of value. And these kids also showed that commitment to creating value. Given the limitations of their experience and their age and what they're being exposed to, they came up with a pretty good business plan. They covered the basics of what is the cost structure going to be, how much is going to cost them, what are the different items that they require. They even went down to nitty-gritties of what are the specific equipment that one would require in a coffee shop, which is very good. They also went into how much revenue they would generate in terms of the pricing strategy, how much would they charge, who do they expect to come. So the core components of a business plan, they pretty much covered in their first cut itself. But here in GICE, what we want to do is we want to not only make education applicative, but we want to make it a lot more detailed, a lot more specific, and a lot more analytical. So it is essential that whatever data points, whatever assumptions the students came up with, we had to make sure it was prepared and they thought about it and that they actually, analyzed it. So that was the second part of what we did with them. We made sure that we questioned them on details, on every aspect of their cost structure, on every aspect of their revenue structure. We started questioning them in detail. What assumptions they made, what information they had, where did they get the information from, is it cross-checked, what number did they put, what financials did they put up, is that verified, is it cross-checked. So that was a very rigorous process that we went with them on the revenue and on the cost side. As we progressed, what we wanted to do was we wanted to incorporate a lot of management theories into this. So once I came up with this concept, we had an idea of what profit they're going to make. So the first question we asked them was that, you say that, for example, you say you're going to spend 20 lakhs to set up a coffee shop, and you say you're going to make a profit of 5 lakhs. So is that a good ROI? So we started introducing concept of finance here in a very easy to understand manner for the students. And they started asking questions of what is ROI, how do you calculate that, which is good because it showed that they're starting to learn concepts which are relevant for management. Then we started introducing concept of economics, saying that if you were to put this money elsewhere, would you get a better deal? Would you rather spend money, this 20 lakhs on gold, or would you put it into a coffee shop business? And this is a simple question, but it has a lot of economic rationale behind it. It shows whether they analyze market trends, whether they analyze the mood of the sentiment of economies around the world, whether they analyze which is a better option to invest, gold, real estate, a business of their own, or just be very simple and put the money into a bank. Here comes some more economic thought of what is the sentiment, what are the thought processes behind different kind of investors. Why do different investors have different outlooks to business and to returns that they possibly could get. So as we went ahead, as we were discussing, we were trying to get the students to analyze their own assumptions and their own data. And while they were doing that, we started introducing these economic and finance concepts. And migrating from there, we went into the marketing concept. Once we asked them, okay, you're saying that you're going to make so much money. How's it going to happen? Who's your target audience? Who's going to come? At what point of the day will they come? Are they students who are going to come to the coffee shop? Are they working professionals who are going to come? Or are they families who are going to come? If they're students, what do they require? Will you make money from them only from coffee, or will you give them snacks? Will you give them an internet environment, a gaming environment, some sort of communication environment? Or if it's working professionals, what do they require? Do they need a TV which will be running business news? Do they require Wi-Fi connectivity? Do they require PowerPoint so they can keep charging their mobiles or their laptops? So all these questions start coming up about marketing. Which target audience to go after? What does the target audience require? How much will that translate into cost? There's no point in a business plan to just come up with thoughts and put them in an Excel file. Everything is connected. If you say you're going to do great marketing, there's a cost attached to it. So that cost should reflect in your cost side. That's the kind of integrative, analytical, detailed education that we're trying to impart at GICE. And the reason why we did this at the beginning of the semester was to make sure that as young students come in, we make sure that their mindset is attuned to business. It's attuned to applying the education that they get at GICE for real business situations. That was the whole point of why we did this course. We had what actually started as a one session. We actually spread it over 3 sessions, and those 3 sessions were over a period of probably 6 weeks. And the reason we had so much gap was because we wanted the students to go back into the market and actually evaluate their assumptions. So many of the students actually took the initiative of going to coffee shops around the area and asking the management there of what is the cost structures and what are the revenues they make, when did they set up, how much have they broken even or not, when do they foresee to break even. And the students also actually sat there and evaluated what kind of people are stepping in, what is the customer profile that's coming in. This kind of rigorous education is something that probably every MBA needs to have. And since it's a new institute, we want to make sure that we do this from the very beginning. One of the things that most employers, which are companies, have a little bit of issue about or a crib about is people who come out of an education system take some time to understand the business environment and take some time to become useful in the business environment. And most companies, spend a lot of money on training to overcome this defect. But now in this aware environment that we live in, management institutes themselves understand the need to make sure that that kind of a mindset is inculcated in the education process itself. And GICE is one of the institutes that has definitely understood this requirement, and that's the reason why it is becoming part of the DNA of GICE, to make sure that whatever education is imparted here is applicative in nature. Whatever education is given here, the students understand that this theory needs to be applied. Otherwise, what typically happens is, even I've done an MBA and I know it, we learn a lot of theories, and there's, every subject has a whole bunch of theories that we get exposed to. And it all comes under the phrase of jargon, catchphrases that one likes to use. And a lot of people make fun of people who use jargons, saying that just talking jargon and there's no business sense behind that. But what really matters is if we know how to use the jargons, but actually apply it. Because jargon is actually a synthesis of a lot of thought from a lot of eminent thinkers over time who have crystallized management concepts and thoughts and come to this called jargons. Now the challenge is how we can apply those management concepts in a real environment. And that process should start probably from the very beginning, that is from the education process itself. And that's the whole philosophy of how we're going about doing education in GICE. Thank you.